Oracle Linux installation. Why are we installing Oracle Linux and not Fedora as discussed in our book? Stability of the code base and availability of updates is the main reason. Common enterprise Linux distributions provide support for many years. Oracle Linux is supported through 2029. Some common enterprise distributions you will hear in our region are Red Hat, Ubuntu, and SUSE. You will also hear Kali for cybersecurity and pen testing. Non-enterprise Linux distributions, which there are hundreds of, you will hear Fedora, which is bleeding edge, meaning that they're constantly trying new software and it is constantly changing. Support also ends quickly, normally within 1 year to 1.5 years. CentOS, slightly more stable than Fedora. They are all supported by Red Hat. We have another OpenSUSE. The problem with the non-enterprise is the time it takes to write a book and develop a curriculum is normally at the end of the support cycle. Then trying to do labs, the servers that house the software are no longer available. Then if we try to use a newer version, the graphics and stuff will not meet the labs. And for entry-level students as yourselves, it can cause some learning issues. So that is the main reason we're going to install Oracle Linux. It is a direct clone of Red Hat Enterprise. So if you remember from Chapter 1, reading page 19 in the book about the license, the GPL, any software that you create and put into the GPL, you must release for free. So other companies are able to take the source code, compile, and build out their own distribution, very similar to yours. Ways to install Linux. Download an ISO image. This is just a file of a DVD or CD. You can attach it to a virtual machine and install just as you would have a physical media. Rufus is a piece of software that can take an ISO image and place it on flash media, such as a thumb drive or SD card. You can then boot up off of the SD card or thumb drive and install an operating system. This is very common, as many of the installations are now over 5 gigabytes in size and are difficult to fit onto a DVD. Other options, physical DVD or CD, and these are not so common anymore. Most IT personnel are going to be using the ISO image, installing into virtual machines, or carrying around a thumb drive with installation. Another common item, if your company is using cloud-based software, you will deploy out Linux, Windows machines with images or templates that the cloud hosting provider has already created. It is basically a pre-installed operating system that you deploy out, and they customize the name after it's deployed. To finish Project 2-1 with Virtualbox, we will need to download the Oracle Virtualbox ISO image from either week 1 or week 2. we go into week 2, we'll see the second bullet under Resources, Oracle Linux Download. Click the link and wait for the download to finish. My download has a few seconds left. I will now go to Project 2-1. I will click on the PDF for the lab instructions. With the PDF open, you can follow along with this video and the instructions. If you have a dual screen monitor, it's better. You can put the instructions on one screen and do the work on the other. Or you may want to print out the instructions. Now that you have your instructions open and Oracle downloaded, let's start Oracle VirtualBox. Now we will click the New button. It looks like a blue star. Give the virtual machine a name. Our lab specifies Oracle Linux. You may choose a lab folder to place it. The type should be Linux, and the version should be Oracle 64. Use the drop-downs and modify if they do not show up correctly. Click Next. On the memory size, we will use 4096. That is equal to 4 gigabytes of RAM. Click Next. We will create a new virtual hard disk now. Click Create. Click Next on the VDI or VirtualBox disk image. Leave Dynamically Allocated selected. Click Next. On the size, change the 12 or whatever size it has on your screen to 50 or 50.00 gigabytes. Click Create. Next, we will need to insert the ISO image we downloaded. In the right side, find Storage, find Optical Drive Empty. Click on Optical Drive Empty. Click Choose a disk image. Click the Add button. Browse to your Downloads folder or where you placed your ISO image. Select the Oracle Linux ISO. Click Open. Click Choose. Now the installation media has been added. Click the green Start button. Oracle installation will launch. You can close any warnings at the top of the screen. If this is your first time installing, leaving it on the default Test This Media and Install is best. If you have used this ISO before and are rebuilding, you may use the up arrow key to go to Install Oracle Linux 8.4. Either way, once you make your selection, hit Enter. After a short moment, You'll notice lots of text scrolling across the screen while it is loading into a graphical installer. Again, warnings at the top of the screen you can close. This can take a few moments. Once the graphical screen has come up, make sure that English is selected. Click Continue. On the installation summary, we will set date and time first. Click the region. Change the AM and PM from 24-hour to the AM and PM radio button. Click Done. Next, select Installation Destination. At the bottom, find Custom and select. Click Done. On the next screen, find LVM, use the drop-down, and change to Standard Partition. Use the blue hyperlink that says, click here to create them automatically. Select the /. Change the desired capacity from around 45 gigabytes to 35. In the label, type root. You may have to scroll down to find the Update Settings. Click the Update Settings button. Now click Done. Accept the changes. Next, let's select Software Selection. Ensure Server with a GUI is selected on the left. On the right, place a checkbox beside Guest Agents. Click Done. Now we will set the network and host. Move the slider from off to on. Click Done. Now we need to set the administrator or root password. Root is the administration account on Linux and Unix systems. The password is capital P, followed by a lowercase a, s, s, and the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Retype the password in the confirmation field. You will have to click Done twice, as this password is weak for lab purposes. You may have to scroll and find User Creation. Select it. Type in sample user 1 for the full name. For the username, type in user 1 as shown on the screen, all lowercase with no spaces. The password we use in our lab is secret. So type the word secret, all lowercase, in password and the confirm password field. This again is a weak password. We must click done twice before it will let us go forward. At this point, we are ready to continue the installation. Click the Begin Installation button. Again, you may have to scroll down to find it. This process can take up to 30 minutes or more. I'm not going to let the video run for that amount of time. I will come back when the installation has finished. Once the installation completes, you may click the Reboot System button. You may notice if you click in and out of the window, your mouse may get trapped inside, and you have to click the right control key on the keyboard to release your mouse pointer with Oracle VirtualBox. When the system reboots, you will have to accept the license agreement. After a few moments, the graphical screen for accepting the license agreement will appear. Click License Information. Check the I accept the license agreement. Click Done. Click Finish Configuration. You will be taken to a graphical login screen where you log in as your user 1. Click Sample User 1. Supply the password of secret. Click the Sign In button. On the welcome screen, make sure English is selected and click Next. Ensure English US is selected on typing and click Next. The privacy, move the slider to off for location services. Click Next. Click Skip on connecting your online accounts. Click Start using Oracle Linux Server. At this time, you want to take a screenshot. You may have to use your right control key, tap it on the keyboard to release your mouse. Use a snipping tool or sketch and snip. Actually, snip and sketch in Windows. Click New. Draw a rectangle around the entire Oracle Linux screen. It will be open in the snipping tool or snip and sketch. Save the image. I will save it as Project 2-1. Click Save. You are now ready to submit this image for the assignment. Go to Canvas. Go back to your Week 2 or your Project 2-1 assignment. I've submitted this in a previous video, so I'm going to click Try again. If this is the first time you've worked on submitting the project. It'll appear as this. As you scroll down, you will see a rocket ship. You can either drag the image file over the rocket ship or click on the rocket ship. Locate your image file. Open the image file. If you have to add more images, some assignments will require multiple. You click the rocket ship again and click another file. Once they all appear in the file name listing, click Submit Assignment. That is all for this video.